My name's Ryan. I was in Northern Frontier back when it launched. I was in pre-alpha of Northern Frontier. I didn't take a ton of time playing Northwind. I was a little old for that. I'm 22. I'll be 23 here shortly. So definitely an adult. I don't really play a game like that as much anymore. Or at least I don't have the time to really do it as much as I used to. But definitely still the passion for the community. It was one of my favorite things as a teenager. So yeah, it kind of led me to where we are right now. I have a game development company, and that's kind of the reason for the partnership and the change of ownership is I'm bringing in all of my devs, and we'll kind of overhaul that. My devs have a lot of background in Roblox and game design specifically. I went to game development school. One of the other programmers will be hopping on and went to school with me. Head developer has a bachelor's in CS, so we have a pretty experienced team. On all fronts, we have a pretty big roster of modelers, UI artists, things like that. That we'll use on a contractor basis, but yeah, we have a pretty big dev team. And yeah, I think we should just open up to questions, and then I'll kind of go into specifics of what we want to do. Actually, no, I'll go into what I want to talk about first. So, first initial updates want to do off the get-go, we're going to fix staff perms. Staff haven't been able to effectively do anything for quite some time. So one of the first major things we'll be doing is fixing all their permissions. Included in that is fixing appeals and adding more options for staff, so it's not just a ban. So there'll be a lot more options. So staff will be a little more lenient in that sense of every infraction isn't going to be a ban because there's different options. Besides that, we're going to expand the moderation team and staff team. There's going to be some reasons I'll discuss a little bit later on why we want to do that, but we'll be at least doubling the size of the current staff team and ensuring activity for everybody that is there. And then probably opening up applications this weekend for that. That could change, but my idea is that we'll be opening up tomorrow. And then, yeah, that's kind of staff. Following that, we're going to do bug fixes. So we already have a pretty big backlog of bugs. MLG had a document he's had for quite some time from just conversations in DM. So he sent that to us, combined with some of the stuff we've already found, some DMs I've gotten. We'll be working on a lot of bugs. Included in that is hopefully going to be solving the duping issue, or at least one of many. I don't know if people saw my message, but I'll kind of reedify it again and probably put it in announcements. But there is an active bounty for 1,000 Robux if somebody can show us how to dupe that isn't already shown to us, and we patch it based off of your demonstration. You'll get 1,000 Robux. Or we could probably do an equivalent in ducats or something like that, whatever you prefer. But just putting that out there. So we'll be doing bug fixes, hopefully fixing a lot of the like open exploits, dupes, things like that. In terms of how we're going to handle already duped items and pounds, that's something we still have to discuss kind of internally. We'd be welcome to some community insight on that, but it's kind of a tricky issue, so we'll need to revisit that one. Immediately preceding that, we'll be working on a pretty major update. I don't really want to discuss specifically yet. We'll put it on the roadmap, and I'm sure some of what we discussed today, going back and forth in questions, will influence that. But yeah, I think that opens us up to questions, so go ahead and raise your hand.
I'll re-enable it. Okay, you did.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Like fake questions will probably be punished, especially if people have soundboards.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
Fun.
How's it going, Super?
All right. Hello. I was wondering if you were intending on adding a skill tree or something. I haven't
as opposed to like professions.
Yeah, like a skill tree profession for say, book your smithing speed or something along those lines. Because I'm tired of having to wait hours to get 25 rifles.
It's something that we have on our list to look at. Definitely, it's probably not going to be a high priority if we do it. I kind of like the system as it is currently, and I feel like it'd be a pretty major change to update, especially considering people already have a lot of experience in the professions. So translating that over to a skill tree would be a little difficult. It's something we'd be open to discussion about, but it's not really something that we want to prioritize. Any other questions? Or
no, that's not it. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. Oh, there's a lot of people. Okay. Hey, Wolf.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep. How's it going?
How are you guys gonna fix duping?
In terms of like patching it on our end?
Or putting a band-aid on it for now.
So a lot of that is going to be kind of what we get from the community. We already have been working on the dupe with forts and fixing that, but
Okay,
it's going
so-
to kind of be case by case.
So forts are going to be added back in for faction versus faction combat.
Potentially, if we can fix the duping issue, yeah.
Okay, and then what about naval warfare, boats, ships, that stuff that was leaked earlier? I heard that the dev quit or something. You guys looking for a new one?
So yeah, the dev did quit for that. That was kind of the rationale for that whole idea getting scrapped. It's on our list of things to look at. It's not kind of the direction I want to take the game, at least initially. But it seemed like the community really likes it, so we may decide to do that. We definitely need to flesh it out more in terms of ideas and how it would work. But I'm not opposed to it. I think it's a neat idea. I just don't know that it would work well in the setting as it is currently.
All right, what about natives? Because the native
So-
faction hasn't been touched much, and it's also still alpha players only.
Yeah, so that's something that I really want to work on. Native gameplay currently has like a broken loop. There's really nothing to do. So step one would definitely be removing it for alpha players. Alpha players will get a reward. It's probably going to be an exclusive cosmetic item, and potentially something else. We're still kind of discussing that. But we want to open up natives for all players, so we have another viable kind of gameplay loop. And then yeah, we'll be fixing that. We'll be adding native specific quests. Obviously, they have their own items. We'll probably flesh those out a little bit more, and then yeah, kind of go from there. Oh, did he leave? I guess so. Okay. How's it going?
Everyone. I'll use TDS if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll use TDS if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's
How will
fine.
you handle the situation with the people who got banned unfairly by Lazarus/Mason and the old mod team?
Yeah, so we're going to be looking into all of the bans as they are currently. We'll be doing an audit of everybody that's currently banned and assessing whether we think that they should be unbanned or at least contacted for more reasoning. We'll also be opening up ban appeals again. We'll be wiping all of the current appeals that are there, just to kind of clear up the backlog and reopening the appeals so that it's a little more streamlined. But we definitely want to look into bans and potentially unban a large number of people.
Also, will y'all be hiring a person to specifically write dialogue for NPCs and lore writing and stuff?
Not specifically. We will probably have a couple contributors for that are just working, of their own volition. And then something that I want to do is open up kind of a community, like I don't know what the exact wording would be for it, but open it up for the community to input suggestions for NPCs, dialogue, and quests.
Also, will y'all be hiring a person to... Also, will y'all...
Okay, was that everything? Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I'm gonna.
Fucking text to speech.
Okay.
Yo,
Hey, how's it going?
Oh shit, Robbie.
I'm doing good.
Huh.
Okay.
I was wondering,
Lucky.
do you guys in the future have any plans on expanding the community events? Just having more, things to do as a whole community.
In terms of what, like specific gameplay or
Just like events like I don't know, like fort capturing or something like that.
Like the first ever one?
Yeah.
So at least from what I've planned, we'll be implementing a lot more systems in game that have dynamic server events. So I don't want to list off a ton,
Cool.
but there'll be things like a ship is sunk, now there's a treasure hunt,
Wow.
or capturing, things like that. So we'll be adding a lot of things that'll just spawn dynamically in servers to kind of spike
That's
up
awesome.
activity across the server. And then as a community, we will probably be doing some specific events, battles, things like that.
Cool. I have one more question. What's something that you're really excited to be working on?
As lame as it sounds, I'm really excited to be fixing one of the bugs.
That's
I know
that's
it
really
seems
good
kind
to
of
hear.
It's obviously like not big exciting update, but I think that there's a lot of backlog of bugs that have just kind of spawned in over the past
Yeah.
months of development that need to be addressed before we can really move forward with serious development.
Cool. Well, that's it. I'm happy to see what you bring.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah. How's it
Hello.
going?
I'm good. Are you guys gonna add more NPC bounties besides Big Guy?
Yes, that's something we have planned. More
Also-
NPCs overall.
Have you guys heard of the Wild West?
Yes.
Is it an inspiration or?
There's elements of it that we like. I wouldn't call it an inspiration exactly, but there's definitely elements of it that, you know, we like a lot.
Two people have asked me to ask about the potato harvesting glitch to be fixed.
Yeah, we'll have a bug report channel that's actually going to be looked at here
All right.
shortly, and then all the feedback in there we're ideally going to start looking at and getting fixed.
Okay.
Awesome. Was that everything?
Think so.
Cool. Thank you. SpongeBob. There you go.
I was just wondering, will you guys be adding any weapons, and what new like activities will be added, as in like new gameplay features such as like fort chests and treasure hunts and NPC forts?
Cool. Yeah. So I'll start with the first part of the question. So we're not going to be adding any weapons, items, changing stats, anything like that at this time. That's a pretty complicated balancing issue, and I feel like our time would be better dedicated fixing bugs. It's something we will do, right? Obviously, we'll start adding in new items relatively quickly after we get everything stabilized. But for the foreseeable futures in the next month or two, we won't be adding any new items or adjusting stats. In terms of like new gameplay options, that's going to be something you'll need to look out for on the roadmap. But like I was saying earlier, just kind of big picture stuff. We'll be adding in events in game for the entire server. I know I've talked about it in chat, but one of the first big updates we want to do is a massive overhaul for SLC. So there'll be a lot more events revolving around them and for them. And then potentially, right, we've been looking at the implementation of ships or something similar in terms of a large content update like that.
Okay. Will the SLC stuff also be like impacting colonist stuff?
In terms of what, like gameplay?
Yeah, in terms of how like colonists could also interact with the SLC things that will be added.
Yep, 100%. So one of the bigger loops that we're trying to work on for colonists is more interaction with the SLC as a gameplay loop, more so than just talking to players and everything. So there will definitely be a lot more gameplay revolving around the SLC for columnists and non-SLC members.
Okay.
That's more of the focus of the update than it is for the actual SLC. Is for
Thank
columnists.
you. That's it. I don't have any more questions.
Awesome, cool, thank you. Next one. How's it going? You there?
Hello? No.
Okay. Well,
How's it?
That's interesting. Yeah, well, we got 344 people now, so.
Yeah, we're getting there. How's it going, Prox?
Rocks, you there?
Ox.
Any day now.
No, if he's DMing.
Okay.
Yeah, just a heads up, guys. I'm not looking at the chat, so if you guys are asking your questions in there and stuff, I'm not gonna read it right now. It's just going too fast.
I'll read out any ones that look
Okay.
not trolly, but
Hello, do you hear me all right? Is my
yeah,
mic
we can
not
hear you.
dying?
Yeah.
Yep.
Hi, great. So first question I wanted to ask you is, do you know, you said you don't really like the idea of ships, right? But since community is asking for it, you'll consider it, right? Do you
100%.
know, do you know what Fred's original idea for ships was?
Yeah, we've discussed a little bit.
Okay, great.
It's not just his vision of it that I dislike. I think the premise of it is too much for Northwind. I feel like that adds a lot. I don't know how to phrase it. It just adds a whole different loop that doesn't really make sense for the current one. Like it's almost like a different game. Is at least the way I view it, right? Like ships are more so if you want ships, go play trade lands kind of thing, right? It's not something I'm opposed to. I just feel like it would change the direction of the game a lot.
Yeah, well, I think because you know it's been basically promised since 2019, since pre-release of the game, it'd probably be one of the features that a lot of people, especially alpha players, are were looking for. So I think you cannot kind of avoid it. You have to like add it in at some point. And then the second thing I wanted to ask is about basically storyboarding, right? Like when you're adding new stuff, are you just gonna like add it as its only little bubble of like content, or are you actually gonna take a step back and actually like try to fit it into the game's idea? Like you said, like a ship crashed and like boom, treasure, right? Are you actually gonna fit it in like it's an SLC ship that's sunk and there's like a weapons cache? Or are you just gonna be like, oh, ship treasure, blah blah blah, who cares?
Yeah, so that actually kind of opens up a bigger discussion. So definitely when we add updates, it's going to fit into the universe and not just be like, oh, this is random. It's going to fit into everything. But to kind of take that further, we want to take the game to have a larger overarching story that NPCs, quests, missions, events, all of that will kind of portray. So we want to have like a larger game story that we're going to start focusing on. So everything will start to be related, and we'll have like an overarching story that will kind of connect everything.
Okay, that's dope. And then final thing, any chance for like NPCs in like the wild, just like some random wandering dudes trying to hunt or whatever, just like a I don't know, like a simple guy dragging like a sled through like the actual wilderness that you can like engage and try to steal his stuff or whatever, and like nothing like that.
100%. Yeah, that's very, very high up on our priority list. Is adding the world or adding more NPCs into the world.
Let's
Make it-
go, ambient stuff.
Yep, just make the world feel more lived in.
Yeah, I honestly just like add more stuff for the animals to do. I really just like them just being, like here is pelt, shoot.
Yeah,
I'd love like the animals to have some stuff. Like for example, the wolves to be able to like eat like rabbits and stuff, things like that. Okay, that's it.
awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
I have
I'm
like
gonna
4 or 5 questions from the chat.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't-
for those.
Has a second official faction been thought of?
Yes, that's very, very, very high up in
I
consideration.
can. There
Will there
was
be updates with the farming process, with the farming profession?
Eventually, but not at this time.
Ask about buffing the farming prices.
We're not going to
regards
mess with
to-
stats, including price on anything at the moment, unless it's a major game-breaking issue. But I don't think that it is.
Will there be a timer on Buell for 1 to 3 days or more, so it serves as more as a tutorial instead of a safe place to hide?
Sorry, say that one more time.
Will there be a timer on Buell for 1 to 3 days or more, so it serves as more of a tutorial instead of a safe place to hide?
Oh, so like forcing people out of Bugle.
I believe so, yes.
Okay. It's something we can consider. We're going to completely redo the tutorial as part of our first main update, and kind of take that out of Bugle without giving too many details. We'll not be taking it out of Bugle. It'll be kind of more of an isolated instance, and then Bugle will open up a bit more in terms of gameplay.
I got a few DM'd ones. You
Will
want me to-
Ellesmere
So-
gain more content? Sorry, MLG.
No, okay.
Ranger, say that one again.
Will Ellesmere gain more? Will Ellesmere gain more content?
Yes. We want to add either we're going to add more content to all of the islands, or we're going to start removing ones that don't really serve a purpose. We're still kind of deciding that internally.
Some of the ones I got were. Is there any plans for SLC at all? At least for team wise, or is it just going to be left to them themselves?
Yeah, SLC, like I was saying, is the biggest focus of our update. So there'll be lots of updates for SLC.
And the second one that I pinged you about, is there any alpha player reward that's going to be released, or is it still just going to be native access for now?
Yeah, we want to have a deluxe and exclusive cosmetic for alpha players, and we're discussing some other things as well.
All right. These are
Awesome.
the ones I got.
Cool. I'm gonna scroll down a little bit in the list and go to Prox because he DM'd me that he's back, so he can ask his question. Then we'll go down the list again.
As soon as I said people are DMing me, I'm not going to messages.
So I would ask what's going to happen to the current state of playtesters, and if there will be an opportunity for people in the community to apply to test people that are active.
Yep. So we'll be reviewing the playtest team as it is currently. Obviously, they haven't had much of a task recently, so I'm sure some have fallen inactive.
Yeah.
We definitely want to grow the team to somewhere around 50 people. So after we do a little bit of a purge and reshuffling of people, we'll see where that kind of measures out, and then we'll open up applications.
All right, sounds good. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll wait for you to go with a few more people before I get these questions that I have. If you want.
Yeah. Yeah, let's keep going for some more people. Hey, Shed.
Oh, evening. Oh, is
How's
my
it going?
mic working properly?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, I have 3 questions prepared. One about cannon. So currently, I don't know if you're in game. You want to test out the cannon right now because I have one on me. Anyhow, so there are several main bugs with the cannons and issues that I dislike about the cannon. One, that the cannon was designed to have a crosshair. There is no crosshair.
Okay.
Secondly, randomly the cannon will just disappear.
Okay.
Like you build it, you use it, and it just disappears. Thirdly, is that let's say high adrenaline, you cross map somebody direct, they're dead, and then their friend picks them up.
Okay, so we'll kind of go through each one of those. Bugs with cannons are definitely something we'll look at. So for your first 2 points, that'll be something we
and
address
most
pretty
of them
quickly.
were like, bugs.
Yeah, that'll be something we're looking at pretty quickly in terms of
Alright.
aim and everything. As part of the last one, I can see the rationale of wanting cannons to be insta-death. It'll be something we have to discuss a little bit more internally and then with the community.
I actually have really put in thought. I wouldn't say you get direct hits because there's most of the times you get a lucky direct hit or just get random direct hits or let's say I don't know HPE aim.
Mm-hmm.
That happens a lot because but stuff. But I was trying to make it where either A it doesn't fuck. Let me rethink my question. Okay, so either A it kind of disables a respawn time for a few seconds, or B either entirely disables respawning, like a whole funny little your body implodes animation.
It's definitely something we're open to. We would just have to kind of look into it a little bit more. But it's not something we would prioritize. We want to get a big update out after bugs before we start doing kind of, I guess, minutia of changing stats and some specific things like that.
On to the second question. Yeah, all that was just related to cannons.
Okay.
What was it? Oh yeah, so boats, ships, all that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you already answered most about boats. Secondly, your question is, what about essentially supply transitions or transportations and stuff like that? Like you can get a boat just to transfer supplies from this island to that island.
I think that if we I think that if we do proceed with ships, that'll be something that's makes a lot more sense. But with robots, I don't feel like it makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, the only sense is getting 1,000 space and then moving islands or something like that.
Yeah.
Lastly, so a bunch of SLC overhauls. Can I ask in depthly what those are, or is it just find out later?
So we'll go a lot more in depth on the roadmap tonight with an announcement. Kind of some big picture things without going into specifics are we'll be adding a lot more interactivity between colonists and SLC. We'll be adding a lot more for colonists to do for and against SLC, and then we'll be adding a lot more gameplay loops for existing SLC members.
So instead of just a typical host trait run and then player hosted trainings, it's what was it? Having NPCs randomly attack the fort, or essentially it just makes it more of an incentive to be in game instead of just waiting for it, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm also being asked. A second official faction.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know why they keep.
Yes. Our plan is it'll be some sort of French faction. But I'm sure that would be obvious from the setting. We are in discussions about it, but that kind of brings up. I'll take a little pause answering questions after you finish. Do you want to go to your third question? I'll kind of answer that one a little bit more.
Oh yeah. So with housing, what was it? Housing, because houses, there's a bunch of bugs that. Well, here's gonna go into bug fixes. But with housing, there's a big issue of everybody using them for fights or everybody complaining about them, whether it be BS house rules of hey can't get through walls or something of too many feet down, too many locked doors.
Mm-hmm.
It's that there's so many issues with houses that impact both sides of either the raider and the one getting raided.
Yeah, so we don't have any current plans to alter housing drastically. It's something we would look at after some more insight from the community, but it's not something we currently have on our on our list.
Oh, a suggestion popped up. Add increased cannon damage for house walls. Nerf hammering.
We're not
Oh
gonna
my god,
alter
I'm just
stats.
getting bombarded questions.
You're good. We're not gonna alter stats for the moment, but that'd be something we could look into a little bit later.
All right.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, that is it. That is all.
Cool. So that kind of leads me to segue into kind of something we want to discuss and potentially leave up to the community after we discuss it internally a little bit more. We discussed this quite a bit last night, and then a little bit today, but not much. We are tentatively discussing changing the setting a little bit, either to forwarding like the time period and doing like a French Indian War setting, or potentially shifting it to the American Revolution. On our end, we feel like it would drastically increase the appeal for more players.
I'm actually not against that.
It would add a second faction and potentially third faction to interact.
That's a damn good
it would
idea.
add in
I never
more
thought of that.
state of warfare. So it's something we're looking at. It's something we'll definitely take the community's opinion on.
That's a great
But
fucking idea.
some ideas that we would want to do with that is, a little bit more dynamic territory control for major factions and then minor factions.
Holy fuck, that's such a good
being able
idea. What the
to be a
fuck?
minor faction and align with the major faction through in-game mechanics.
I
and
just
really
came
kind of
4
boost
times.
faction mechanics in that sense. So something we're considering.
Such a good fucking
If
idea.
that's something I feel like a lot of people want, we will open up kind of a community poll for it. But I'm not really sure
Oh my god.
how the community feels on that.
Northwind, American Revolution. That's such a good fucking idea.
But yeah, actually, here, you know what? We'll do this real quick.
Instant
I'm gonna
appeal
go
for all of the EU players and American
into
players.
the form and drop it in the chat and see what people think.
Holy fuck, that's such an unbelievably good idea. That's actually such a good idea. Making it like American Revolution stuff.
While you're getting those reactions, do you want me to read out a few questions?
Yeah, let's read out a few questions.
Okay. Are there plans for any more new islands? That's worded weirdly. So new islands basically is what the question is.
Potentially, we definitely want to reevaluate how islands are utilized. But it's something that we would consider for sure in the future.
And is there a plan? Oh wait, no, you already answered that about the houses. Any changes to combat? You may have talked about this before.
At the moment, no. We don't want to alter stats or anything like that. But it'd be something we could look into in the future.
Any plans to optimize the game and make it less grindy in any way?
That's something we've considered a lot. There have to be a lot of discussions about how to do that. One of the things we discussed internally is just adding more reward for missions and quests to make it less, crafting and resource gathering based, but still have that as a completely viable loop. But add more ways to get higher quality gear. So yeah, that's definitely a possibility and something we're looking at.
Good. That's all I have for now.
I got some names.
Yeah.
Will Xbox be fixed? There's some major glitches with Xbox interactions. I don't know if there's a way to fix that.
Yeah, so that's going to be kind of included in bug fixing. One of the things we want to do is fix for Xbox players and then optimize the game a lot more so mobile players can start interacting again. Included in that will probably be some form of low graphic mode for lower NPCs as well. So that's definitely something we want to look at. In terms of specific Xbox bugs, I would just ask, when we do open up a new form for bug reports, to put those in there with as much detail as you can, and we'll try to get those addressed.
Alright, there's another one because all the other ones are just copies of the others.
I have some more. Well, 2 more. Ask about transportation things like going from St. Paul to another island.
Yeah,
island and TP to St. Paul. That's what he said.
I definitely want to add in a little bit more transportation aspects.
And any rewards for alpha players.
Yeah, so like I was saying, exclusive cosmetics are something we have planned for sure. Past that, we're still kind of discussing some ideas.
Any things to add the transit ship back from before?
Potentially. That's not something that we have on our list at all right now, but I'll add it on there and we'll discuss it a little bit more.
That's all I have for now. Well, oh wait, will there be a suggestions channel added? I think you already said yes to that.
Yep, 100%. After this meeting, we'll have a suggestions channel added. So if we don't get to anything you guys have to say today, for sure, drop it in there and we'll take a look at it.
You can also make it like a Google form too if you want to make it clean.
Yeah, I was probably gonna add it to the Airtable. I got access to that a little bit ago,
Oh,
so
that'd be good.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
that way mods can look at them as well. I'm gonna start going through the speakers again. Hey, Arthur.
Hello, sir. I've got a few questions from people who've DM'd me. So I'll just go with the first one. Where are we on horses for Northwind?
That's something that I want to add in a lot. It's something pretty high on my list of priorities is mounts and horses.
Oh my god.
Implementation of it, we still have to see kind of what we want to do with it, but it's
Red is
something that
firebranded
we,
against
at least
horses
I
for 3 years.
have
Swap
a
up the
pretty big
team,
desire to see
instantly
implemented.
horses.
So you can definitely expect to see that.
Nice. Okay, so my second question is when you climb up ladders and stairs, they're kind of hella buggy. So maybe we can fix that, like where you can have it where you press E and then you climb up the ladder instead of like taking your sword out and jumping up. I don't know, it's just a little annoying.
Yeah, we'd have to work on that a little bit. That's more of an animation issue, but it's something that I've noticed and it's on my list of bugs that we're looking at. So yeah, it'll be something we address.
Nice. And then the last question is, I know Fortnite houses are really annoying on Rupert, and one of the main factions, the Shadow Forces, when they spawn
This
in their house, we
guy.
can't really like, get those deleted because they have a mod on their side.
This
And I don't want to be
fucking
too controversial,
guy.
but it's kind
The
of
mod
hella
on their
annoying.
side is literally
The
in the
raid.
DM me about that, or whoever told you about that, DM me about that.
Sure, I got you. And then, but I was just also gonna ask, if you guys do get rid of houses, can we make it where it's not deleted? Just you can't make more houses because a lot of people have stuff on their walls and all that.
Yeah, so I don't think that we'll ever do a full deletion of houses. It's a pretty integral part of the game, and a lot of players enjoy it. So I don't know that we'll ever delete them, but we may change their function a little bit. But we still have to discuss that a little bit internally.
All right, thank you. That's all.
No problem. Thank you.
I got another DM.
I've got one also. Once he's done.
All right, if you want me to go. Is there any plan to fix the game's economy with pounds at all? Between the duping, if there's going to be another pound wipe, if there was to be a way to fix it?
We still have to discuss that a lot internally. I know I keep saying that one, but that's a really complicated issue.
And
we want to come up with a fix. That's going to be something we prioritize, both in terms of fixing it on the gameplay side to make sure it can't happen anymore, and fixing it on outfield players' part, right, of already duped items, dupe pounds, things like that. So, short answer, yes, we will fix it. Kind of the specifics of that and like a long-term answer, I still have to kind of figure that out.
And another one is one I know the community is going to ask a lot is Masterworks. What's going to happen with them nerfing animation fixes?
Definitely animation fixes. Nerfing we probably won't touch yet. Not going to do any stat changes, but any animations, bugs, things like that will be addressed.
I've got 3 now. When will the roadmap come out?
Ideally, we're going to shoot for later this afternoon tonight. At the latest, I'd say tomorrow morning.
Okay. Will Ducat trading be reintroduced at all?
That's something that I want to investigate a little bit more. I personally like it. I think it's something that we should do, but I need to investigate a little bit more on the rationale of why it was removed and go into a little bit more detail about that.
And they're asking if they can. Well, okay, one person asked this. Make the doplet single fire instead of firing both bullets at once.
I can see enough one.
That'd be something we would address once we start doing some stat changes, things like that, but it won't be for a little bit.
Those are the main ones I have right now.
I got, after I've answered those or asked them, I've done my games. Anti-cheat, is there any plan to make a new one, or if there is one, just to overhaul the new one?
Yeah, we want to heavily improve the one that's there already. And then we'll also be, like I said, ramping up the size of our staff team to hopefully have a little bit more user interaction on that as well. So yeah, definitely plans on improving that.
Another one is about houses, saying whenever there's a raid against another house, what a house owner can do is instantaneously log, and the house just despawns. So no one who enters a house can actually get the loot that's inside. Is there any plans to fix that at all, or you're just going to remain the same?
It would be something we'd look at in the future, but not in the short term. That'd be something we'd look at in 2 to 3 months after we do our next big update.
Someone asked if horses are going to be added. Would carriages also be added with it?
Yes, maybe not at the same time, but the idea would be to slowly add those in. Yeah.
And SLC, are they going to be changing the ranks at all, or the SLC name entirely?
Obviously, we change eras. There will be a little bit of rank change and name change. If we don't do that, that's at the discretion of Providence and the SLC staff.
Some goofy questions. Let's see. Will there be any in-game events that would be like a historical event, like a St. Patrick's Day March, Revolutionary War type stuff?
100%, yeah. Especially if we do era changes, we'd want to do a lot of historical events. Even if we don't, we'll probably start tying in a little bit more historical events and some things from that. But yeah.
I am getting spammed.
I have two more while he does that. Or if you want to get some other people from the audience, you can do that for now.
People to speak again for a little bit.
Yeah. Apparently, the what's his name? The rad guy has his rad box has his mic working now. If you want to get him back, or try to.
Yeah, we will in a second. Let's go to Cosmic.
So many. Oh my god.
Hey, Cosmic.
More
Hello team. I'm also using text-to-speech and I'm wondering if you would expand house building by adding new house props such as new flowers like hibiscus, roses, etc., and in general expanding the building scene, fireplaces, hammocks and more would be nice to have while building.
Definitely, yeah. So we have on the list that MLG gave us a lot of ideas for new build items, things like that. It'll be something we implement. As to when, we still kind of have to decide. It will for sure be after we do bugs, probably after we finish this major update. I want all resources focused on that for the short term, but preceding that, we would be open to start doing changes like that every week, right? Some new items, things like that.
I'm also wondering about a possible fishing update as well, and will an old graphics setting return?
So those are two questions. I'll start with fishing. So fishing is something I have on my list to look at a little bit more and improve. So yes, eventually there will be an update for that. In terms of old graphics, I haven't really decided yet. There's a lot of for and against arguments on that one. So
No questions being brought up in DMs.
yeah, I just got a good DM question about heavy.
I've gotten a few questions in DMS and one is about naval combat aspects such as cannons.
Yeah,
Will they
so
be used for trade, etc.?
if we do go down a route that we have ships and naval aspects, then 100% we'll have cannons, trade, things like that. It's still something we're discussing. That's a route we want to go.
I don't know if that's all his questions or not.
I'm done. Thank
Perfect.
you.
Thank
you.
If
I'm
gonna keep doing voice ones for a little bit.
Right. Just let us know when we can go to the end.
Hey, Adam.
Hey Ryan, I hope you're enjoying hosting this call event. I always hate doing these, but look, I got two questions.
Yep.
The first one is seeing that the genre is going to a two-faction system. I know that one issue prior with having so many colonist factions is that it was hard to engage them in what was going on with the St. Lawrence Company and everything that was going on with their events and who they were engaged with, and there was kind of backroom alliances and there was no kind of function set for that. So I guess this first question is kind of a two-parter, so I'm cheating a little bit. But how are we going to engage player factions and the primary factions, and will there be an in-game function for alignment between the two primary factions? I know you mentioned the French and Indian War, so would player factions be able to identify as French or English, and then same for the Revolution, would they be able to identify as loyalists or revolutionaries?
So to answer that, I'll kind of have to explain a little bit of what I'm thinking with the SLC overhaul, so I'll just kind of go into it. So with the SLC overhaul, we want to add in a lot more SLC AI. This AI will be doing things like patrolling around the map, guarding forts, trade convoys. This will kind of tie into events as well. And I think it'll add a lot more lively I guess, or it'll make the world feel a lot more lived in, a lot more realistic to have SLC patrols everywhere. So included in that will be SLC specific missions, both for and against, right? So you'll get missions like go attack this convoy, go destroy this camp, go disrupt supply, things like that. And then on the for side, oh, go support this garrison, go deliver supplies, things like that. And that'll implement your reputation with the SLC faction. So the faction will be able to kind of, on the AI standpoint, if your reputation gets bad enough, it'll just auto attack you. If it gets good enough, it will protect you if you're under attack in the vicinity. You'll get exclusive items for trading with them if you have good reputation, things like that. So to tie that into what you were asking, there will be an alignment system with both factions. So my thinking on it initially is that you won't be able to say, "Oh, I'm British" or "I'm French," but you'll have a slider for each faction that shows your reputation. So if you do more French missions, your reputation with the French will go up, while your reputation with the British will go down, and vice versa. And each side will have its benefits and pros and cons, and then they'll still do the player aspect side of it as well.
Very cool. Yep, totally get that reputation system. That completely answers the question. Awesome way to go about it. So that second question I was thinking of was, I know there's been a bit of discussion about the housing system in here. And I mean, obviously, you know, people abuse it. There's glitches with it. If housing was to remain, would there be an option for it to be conducted within safe zones so that people could set up shops in their homes within towns that are already established that are within safe zones? So these are no longer conflict zones, but more of something that's enjoyable and viewable. And it could also help you figure out the activity of a server if you come into a server and the safe zone is like 20 buildings rather than the normal 5.
100%. Yes, that's something that, you know, I've heard a little bit, and I like the idea. We would just have to come up with some restrictions on it, I guess. We don't want towns to just be filled with a lot of mean buildings or things like that. But it's something we would be open to. I like the idea of it.
Very cool. That was all for me, man. Loving the call event. Y'all are doing a great job. Love it.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, let's get some more from the VCs.
Is it back up there? All right, cool.
Hey, Mikey's.
Okay, so, well, there be more game optimization.
Yep. We'll be doing a lot of game optimization during our bug fixes.
Because especially for like low NPCs, it's getting like really hard with all these mountains and stuff, and it's annoying and you know. Second question: will you be changing the combat system? Because I know right now we have the hotbar. You know, before we used to have the combat wheel.
I've heard a lot of opinions on the community for that one, so we'll probably do some sort of poll, figure out what the community has a preference for, and then if it aligns with what we feel, we'll go with that direction.
Okay. I guess another question would be, will you be like switching around the Rupert map? So like some locations are that were here before, they've been moved. Are they being reverted back? Because you know how I actually don't know. It's a little complicated. It's just, are you gonna be reverting the Rupert map in any way?
Not at this time. But we are considering map changes.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. That's it for me.
Perfect. We'll take probably 5 or 10 more questions and then call it a day with this one.
Do you want to do the DM ones and then go on to 5 to 10?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do the DM ones and then we'll go.
And what do you want to start?
All right, so I got one from this guy. He wants to know if fishing and boats would have come out, would whaling and ice fishing be a thing on different islands? Because I know that there's one on Ellesmere of a whale in ice there. Are there any plans for that?
Yeah, so if we do ships, that would be something we would consider as well.
And then we can expand. Someone asked for the new era that you were talking about, what era would it be if there's like an idea already in place?
Yeah, so we're considering either current era, French Indian War, or shifting it all to the American Revolution.
Trying to clear out some, but too bad.
Okay, well you do that. I'll ask one.
Yeah.
How high is the priority for fixing forts? At the time?
It's in our list of bugs, so it'll be something we address hopefully within.
Will there be a basically a list of what all the questions and the answers at some point after this? Is what someone asked.
I probably should have thought about that. No. In the future we will do that. That's a good
I
little
didn't
tip.
think about that either till now.
Yeah, I thought about it this morning and then I completely forgot. But yeah, sorry about that. No, we won't. I'll probably have a lot of your questions answered on the roadmap. So anything past that, we'll have a Q&A probably again next week, and we'll make sure we take notes for it.
I got
Yeah, you want
I
to
got
go
something. It's building off of that one. I forgot the guy's name. He said if like in towns they could have buildings. He's saying if there's anything, can we add it so buildings can be like default settings? Like there's buildings that are already pre-made, but you just need to gather the materials to make them.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Let's see. Any musical interactions that are going to be overhauled, like the fifes, flutes, drums?
Something I want to explore in the future, yeah.
Because someone asked about bagpipes. That'll be
Real
added.
quick, not to cut you off. Randy, to go back to the question you're asking about if we'll have like a document of this. A couple people DM me that they've recorded the meetings, so they'll post it on YouTube, and I'll make sure that we throw that in the announcements for everybody to look through.
Okay.
Go ahead, MLG.
Will bagpipes be added?
Yes.
I'm losing a lot of them because the chat's just moving way too fast for me to read.
Will there be fixes to the animal animations at some point?
Very, very quickly. That's going to be one of the first things we focus on with bugs.
I got one. Will bears and wolves or other animals that are hostile in the game travel on packs in the future?
It's something we're going to explore after this initial update in terms of making the world feel more lively. We just kind of balance it out with optimization.
Other one is he talked about SLC NPCs. Will there ever be an interaction between the French and SLC NPCs in the near future?
Yep, that's something we have planned, especially if we do an era change. That's something we want to implement for sure.
Regarding that era change, what will happen to the current items if the era changes? Will our current items and equipment be obsolete or not obtainable in the new era, or what will happen to it?
It'll be case by case.
Okay. I have some more if MLG's done.
I have some, but not many.
Four more text ones, and then I'll just pick some people at random from the queue.
All right. Ranger, you wanna go first?
After the first few major updates are out, will there be much smaller, less frequent smaller ones?
So our plan is after the first major update, we'll be doing a weekly content drop. So that'll include, ideally, a new mission or two, and a couple new items every single week.
Kind of like if anyone, I know a lot of our community.
It's a great
does,
idea.
but like kind of like a debunking update.
It's a great fucking idea.
Yeah, on Fridays, but yeah, so we'll do drops every week with smaller updates, bug fixes, things like that. While we work on larger updates in conjunction.
Do you want to? I mean, all mine are just kind of repeats. So I don't know.
Most of mine are now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna scroll through at random and pick a couple people here. Actually, I'm gonna give priority to server boosters. So here's an opportunity to boost if you aren't. A little shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
UN, you have any questions?
Can I speak? Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, hold on. So since you're discussing about adding SLC NPCs, will they be let's say what do you call it? Will their cosmetics change based on the company lore that's supposed to be there? Because about a year back we used to get assigned islands for each company. So like would Cantermain get second company NPCs? Would Rupert get I forgot what company it was, third company NPCs, stuff like that?
Potentially, we kind of have to gauge the activity of the SLC in their current state when we do that, and then go from there.
All right, that's all for me.
Awesome. Cool. I see a couple more people boosted, so appreciate that, guys. I'll take it.
How that works.
I see 4.
Yeah, there was one.
Ooh, devs.
How's it
All
going?
the numbers count.
I just boosted right now, actually myself, but
appreciate it.
anyways, how
How are you guys doing?
Good. How about yourself?
So one of my major questions is like, what are you looking for in your moderation team? Like, what qualities will be like the team founded upon, and what the priorities of the team have?
So we're still kind of discussing how we want to structure it, but there'll definitely be a couple different teams within the staff team. They'll have different tasks. So one thing that we're gonna look for is lack of bias, one way or
Okay,
another.
sounds good. And will any like previous bias have any like effect on who gets like picked, or will it be like completely from like fresh start?
A little both. I want to make sure that there's a fresh start for a lot of people, but we'll definitely be taking past actions and things like that into account.
Okay, and I have a couple more questions. Let me scroll up. Are you planning on doing any like weekly events with like exclusive rewards like in TNF? Because like I remember in TNF, like every weekend we used to have like island events with the whole like every faction and game rallying to like perform, you know. And we'll have
100%.
something like that in TNF in Northwood, I mean.
Yeah, we want to start doing larger events as a staff team to drive up some activity.
And I feel like that'll bring much more like action towards like the islands, because right now they're mostly pretty much dead besides Buvel, which is all just like new players.
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
And like, I have like a question for you. Like, what are you most looking forward to taking on this project? Like, what's your aspirations? Like, what are your goals like to further Northwind?
So short term, right, bug fixes. Long term, kind of what I'm looking for. I'm a fan of Northern Frontier, right? Played it.
Yeah.
A big fan. So honestly, just making a fun game for people to enjoy. Good community.
Okay, and you're planning to like market the game more and like get more players like to play it in the current
Yep.
state, right?
Yeah, so I do marketing in real life is, I guess, my primary kind of profession. So I'm going to be doing a lot of marketing initiatives for the game to bring up player count, and kind of bringing it back on that front.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good.
Cool. Anything else?
Yes, one more. I got people DM me about it.
Just DM anyone who's on stage.
That's probably what people have been doing.
Yeah.
Spam thing.
Are we gonna do like any changes to having like exclusive weapons like before with like Tanagashimas or rapiers? Are there gonna be like any more like exclusive weapons that are gonna be added to the game? Like through
Definitely, yeah.
events or
We'll want to add in exclusive weapons and make some weapons exclusive. So that'll definitely happen, but it probably won't be until after we do our first major update.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, that's all I have for now.
Awesome. Thank you.
Now one from
Booster.
How many people we got boosted?
Hello. Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you. So I got a few questions, most of them regarding the time change. So say you would change the date to like 1776. Would you remove the old weapons and replace them with newer ones like Brown Bess, or would you just change the stats of the older one to weaker because they're outdated?
A little of both. So we definitely add new weapons in. We probably wouldn't adjust the stats drastically on the current weapons, but we would make a focus on the newer weapons.
All right, and will a primary gun be added that is supposed to be combed with doglock instead of Holstein?
Maybe.
All right, and what are your plans for the time change? Like, so if it was American Revolution, would there be a name change to the SLC, like more British Army or something?
Yeah, so if we did the American Revolution, SLC would kind of transition a little bit more into the British Empire, and then we'd be making obviously all new maps, and things like that. But we're still discussing that internally, and then we'll kind of make it up to a referendum of the community sometime this weekend.
And will there be a American primary faction?
Yeah, if we did the revolution, it would be American versus British, and then the potential of the French faction in the future if the gameplay supported it.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Let's see. Another booster. Shameless.
Hi. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so how are you guys going to create the new like official faction? Like, are you just gonna pick a faction that's currently owned by a random player, or are you just gonna start from scratch?
Probably from scratch with some consultation of existing factions.
Cool.
Yeah, was that it?
Are you gonna bring wagons with horses?
Say that again?
Are you going to bring wagons with horses?
Yes, maybe not on the first drop of horses, but it'll be something we want to look into very quickly after.
Are you gonna make any new native factions?
Not official factions, but we're gonna add a lot more functionality to the native team. So hopefully they start to form naturally.
Okay. That's about it. That's all I have.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, last chance, guys. Anyone wants to boost to ask a question? This is your time.
I already boosted. Do my questions count?
Go for it, MLG.
Any official newspaper to the game at all?
Like in game?
A hint that I'm not running already. Hint.
I can see that happening. You know, we can talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah,
like
you know, I can always invite you to it. Wink, wink.
You know, maybe we'll see.
Wink, wink. Bias, I hear. Bias.
What do you mean
Huh?
bias?
Not bias. Oh
There's
my
no
god.
bias
here,
in the
guys.
game. What do you mean?
Um,
I'm not biased. To
yeah, I guess I should open up. Do you guys have any questions, staff, that you want to kind of bring in front of the community?
I don't personally. Someone DM'd me. How would you prevent staff bias for or staff members from owning factions to prevent bias from internally?
Oh,
maybe
for
some of
fuck's
their,
sake!
I feel just have a different mod
handle
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was a question I got DM'd, so I was a little curious.
So that'll be a little easier to handle once we have a larger team, right? We'll have other staff members be able to deal with those specific events, but it's something we want to be very, very cautious about.
Of course, yeah.
Cool. I think that kind of does everything. I've answered a lot of questions. I did see a good question in general right now. Thoughts on remaking the Northwind subreddit? Definitely a possibility. But
that was hard last time.
yeah, it'll be difficult, but it's a possibility. So yeah, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. I'm glad everyone showed up. I hope we got a majority of questions answered. I know there's 53 of you still in here that didn't get your question answered. Sorry about that. Just I don't want to keep everybody here all day, and we all have other things to kind of focus on. But we'll be opening up suggestions here shortly, as well as a better Q&A kind of system specifically for questions about the game or game mechanics, and then bug fixes will be posted later today with a more kind of streamlined system. And then, yeah, ideally we'll have the roadmap out tonight or tomorrow with an announcement of kind of what we're planning, and then we'll go from there. Let's theoretically plan on doing one of these every Friday. If you guys want to mark that in your calendars or whatever.
Q&A Friday.
Yeah, Q&A Friday. Like I was saying yesterday, I'm going to try to pop into the VC at least once a day, once every other day, to kind of gauge feedback from the community. So look out for that. I'll be around, and I'm always kind of looking at chat anyways. So there's that. My DMs are open for the most part. I'm going to have 38 message requests right now, so bear with me. But I will try to get to everybody's DMs. If you DM any specific questions or issues, things like that, my DMs are always open. Yeah, I think that just about covers it. Thank you again, guys.
Oh no, poor
play the
Kessin
game.
gets so
Let's
many
get numbers back
DMs.
up. Actually, I have one more announcement I want to make. We haven't fully figured out how we're going to handle it on the staff side, but we're going to be doing a mass pardon system for all current bans, Discord, and game.
Oh,
that should hopefully be taking place
fuck.
within the next few days.
That's not the best
It'll be a
idea.
one-strike policy
All
for
the
anybody who
exploiters
was
coming
banned.
back. Holy
if you are a
fuck!
repeat offender, there's not gonna
All
be
the
a second chance
dupers,
for
all the
you, but
exploiters. Oh Jesus!
There was definitely a lot of issues with the staff team prior, and people have been banned for years. So let's
Well, fuck.
look forward to that. Hopefully,
Hard pills
maybe
to
not.
swallow.
We'll see. But yeah, that's just put that out there too. Staff doesn't inherently agree with me on that one. That's definitely on my end. So if there's any blowback for it, don't direct it towards staff. That was definitely more my decision. So we'll be looking to increase the staff team prior to that, as well as fixing all of their current functionality. But look out for a mass end down relatively quickly. And with that, yeah, that's about everything. Have a good one, guys.